Hey, what's up guys, it's me your boy Autobencast Kevinish back here with another brand new video and I hope you guys are having a great day. So we are here for the Brazilian Grand Prix race review, so without any further ado, let's get right into the video. I mean, you just can't go wrong with the Brazilian Grand Prix. Yet another fun race. Though the top two were running their own separate race, the fight for P2 was the one that kept us entertained for most of the race. And this race showed how much having a bad quali can hurt you. Just like what I said in the Friday quali review, I'll reinstate. Feature race qualifying didn't go in favor of Checo. Honestly, he was on pace with the top 4 and should have qualified in the top 4. But the yellow flag at sector 3 caused by Piastri and the team deciding to send him out too late despite knowing the track conditions truly put him on a back foot. If he had had a straightforward feature race qualifying for the pace that he had for this weekend, Checo could have walked away from Alonso at the early stages of this race. But if that had happened, we might have had a very different race verdict on our hands. I say this because the time Checo got to Alonso on the second stint on the mediums, he lost the tyres. And on the third stint, honestly, that was some amazing defensive drive from Fernando to fend off Perez to the end of the race. I mean, it's just the big brain Fernando that he is. What else do we expect from him? By the time Checo did get through Alonso, he lost the tyres and made a mistake at turn 2, which gave Alonso a very clean run on Checo with the aid of DRS to retake the position. But still, the finishing margin between the drivers was less than a tenth, which gave a very thrilling end to the race. I couldn't be any happier with the race. Two of my favorite drivers on the grid found their lost mojo, with Aston Martin finally seeming to have fixed their errors, putting Alonso back on the map. I hope this is a genuine improvement and not a track specific thing. And Perez regaining his confidence in the car. The way he laid on the brakes of the RB19 with confidence, I mean, this is the most I've seen Checo trust the car. I hope he can carry this performance into the next two races to see out this season in style. These two going wheel to wheel against each other is the most fun thing to watch. It was very much reminiscent of the 2012 Malaysian Grand Prix. This is just proper motor racing, man.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Now that we've covered that, let's move on to the rest of the moments in the race. Charles Leclerc early heartbreak. Despite Ferrari not looking all that strong at the sprint race yesterday to challenge the top 3 spots, they did manage to squeeze in a lap that put Charles Leclerc in P2 for the feature race start. But unfortunately on the formation lap, the failure of the hydraulics on the car pulled early curtains to Charles' race. Considering how bad Mercedes' pace was today, with Russell retiring from the race and Hamilton only managing to finish P8, 60 plus seconds behind the leader, Ferrari could have scored a handful of points to close the gap to Mercedes in the constructors if they had both the cars finishing the race. Reliability has been the biggest drawback of Ferrari, with even 2 more Ferrari customer engine cars retiring from the race, adding salt to the injury. Having a reliable package is just as important as having a fast one. Having good reliability will give a team the consistency throughout the season to attack and defend against the competition. So I really hope Ferrari irons out these issues in the upcoming seasons. Aston Martin's pickup in performance. Aston Martin has finally had a competitive weekend after a while. I think after Australia, this has been the team's strongest weekend collectively, with both the cars scoring solid points. Just like how I praised Checo and Alonso earlier, I think I'll have to give credit to Stroll for finally pulling off a strong competitive drive that the car deserves. This is extremely excruciating, as this kind of performance from Stroll is a glimmer of what he could be. But usually these kind of performances come off as a one-off due to his lack of consistency. I hope this time he can hold on to this and take motivation into the future races. Lap 1 chaos. The race started with a collision heading into turn 1 with the crash of Albon and Magnussen. With Albon getting a better start, he went on the outside of Hulkenberg, with the track getting narrower as we get closer to turn 1. Hulkenberg got sandwiched by being in between Albon and his teammate Magnussen, tagging Albon, which then caused for him to hit Magnussen, which took both the drivers out of the race, with a tire popping out of one of those two cars hitting the rear wing of Ricciardo, and I think it was either Ocon or Hulkenberg who ran into the back of Piastri, giving him a rear wing damage. With the race being red flagged to clear the remains of that incident gave time for AlphaTauri and McLaren to fix their cars. But the sad part was they went a lap down on rest of the grid, which meant their race was worth nothing unless something happened causing a safety car, which would then allow them to unlap themselves, putting them back in the race. But to their bad time, the race was pretty much straightforward from there on with no incidents. I think the lap 1 incident should always be considered as a racing incident, as most of the time it really is. Albon saw a gap and went for it, which cannot be mistaken. At the same time, Hülkenberg got sandwiched with nowhere to go. The Mercs' shocking race pace. I mean, we kinda saw this coming after the sprint race yesterday, and just as predicted, they only went backwards in the race. With Russell eventually having to retire after the engine overheating issue, Hamilton managed to finish the race and salvage 4 points out of the feature race. I believe that this is a one-off. It's hard to believe that a team that finished second in the previous race at Mexico suddenly lost all the pace in the very next week. I think it's mostly down to a setup related issue similar to what Red Bull faced in Singapore this year. But as a team that had a 1-2 finish last year at this track, it was a shock to witness how bad Mercedes were this year. So yes guys, that would be my thoughts on the race moments. Now let's run through the race finishing order. Verstappen in P1 being the race winner, followed by Norris in P2, Alonso in P3, Perez in P4, Stroll in P5, Sainz in P6, Gasly in P7, Hamilton in P8, Tsunoda in P9 and Ocon in P10, rounding off the top 10 point scorers. Following them, Sargent in P11, Hülkenberg in P12, Ricciardo in P13 and Piastri in P14 being last of the runners to cross the checkered flag. With 6 retirements of Leclerc, Albon, Magnussen, Zhou, Bottas and Russell. Overall, it was a very interesting race to witness, with the battle for P3 from Perez and Alonso and Perez's overtake on both the Mercedes certainly keeping us on our toes for 90% of the race. With the TV direction still making some questionable choices with a shot midway through a battle, I'll give the Brussels feature race a solid 8 out of 10, with taking away 2 points just for the lack of fight for the lead, as if you remove the battle between Checo and Alonso, the race loses most of its charm, though there were still some good battles and moves up and down the field. So yes guys, that would be my review on the Sao Paulo Grand Prix feature race. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and let me know in the comments on your thoughts on the race. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also hit the bell icon and turn on all notifications so you get notified whenever I upload a brand new video. It's me your boy Urban Caste K Vinesh and I'm out. Love you guys, stay safe, peace.